Hey everybody, how's your day going? I hope it's better than mine because I just found a major problem that needs to be addressed. So I was just, normal driving it one day from home to work, and I noticed, hey, my oil pressure gauge is dropping a little bit. I might as well check that. So as soon as I got back home, I checked the oil dipstick, and that bitch was dry. And I don't know if you know anything about vehicles, but usually motors are supposed to have oil in them when they're driving. And that just led me to question, well, what could be leaking? I tried to make sure everything was sealed on this engine whenever I was putting it back together. What could possibly be leaking? So I come over here under the truck, and obviously there's gonna be a puddle of oil because if it's leaking, there's got to be residue somewhere. And I've already had to replace the oil in it. I think it was like about a week ago. The puddle wasn't this big, but it was just a little bit big. And then I've got some power steering fluid because I replaced a couple of lines on it. And that just looks like a pretty big leak. So I come over here under the truck and I'm looking, trying to see where it's coming from. And it looks like it's coming from somewhere near the bell housing. Not directly in the bell housing, but at least somewhere near it. So I, of course, get to searching what could be leaking on these old 5.2s. At first, I thought maybe a gasket leak. Maybe I just didn't put my oil pan gasket on tight enough. And I checked that, perfectly fine. So then I thought, well, maybe I have a leak somewhere from my valve covers. Check those, perfectly fine. So I topped the oil off, sprayed some brake cleaner underneath the engine to try to clean it off a little bit, and I took her around the block a couple of times, and I could see that the leak was in fact coming from around the bell housing, and it looked like it was literally just coming straight down. So I look up what could be causing the leak from around my bell housing, and it led me to my rear main seal gasket, which is inside the oil pan, around my crankshaft at the end where the crankshaft will meet with the flywheel and torque converter and all that. And a couple of days ago, I looked up how could you replace your rear main seal on an old 5.2, and honestly, it looks pretty simple.
You're a fucking idiot. This needs to stop. Now.
So I went to AutoZone to try to pick up that seal, but unfortunately they didn't have it in town. So I had to order it, and it should be coming here tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm going to go ahead and put on that seal and try to get everything nice. All right, well, here we are 2 days later. I was unable to work on it yesterday because I was still waiting on the part to arrive, and I didn't realize that it was going to arrive a day late. But I pretty much got it taken apart. This is the bearing, well, actually what the bearing will sit in. This is the actual bearing. I was unable to record most of the process due to my phone having to be used, but we have the oil pan off and it's obviously unbolted. Really, you don't need to jack the truck up or move any like cross mounts or anything, or even like take off the motor mounts. You don't have to do any of that. I got it off fairly easily. All I did was take off the plate that was here, took off the starter that's on the other side, and just took off all the bolts for the pan, and it just fell off. And after you get all of that off, you can get the oil pump off. And what I'm about to do is I'm going to loosen this bolt and this bolt, and then this bolt and this bolt just a little bit to let my crankshaft drop a little bit so that I'm able to take out you can't really see it, so that I'm able to take out the seal that's in here, because if I just try to take it out as it is, it's gonna scratch up everything. I don't want any of that happening. There we go, just like that. these bolts are loose and these bolts are loose. You don't want to take them all the way out because that'll drop it too much. But yeah, I think it's kind of funny how you can see my camshaft in there that I just put in. Hi, camshaft. Now, what I'm gonna do, which is not very advised, is I'm gonna get a little flat pick and I'm just gonna pull the corners in a little bit just so that I can try to break that mating surface and see if it'll come out a little bit easier. Hopefully it will. All right, everybody. So I lied to y'all on accident. I'd like to make a formal apology. I did, in fact, have to try to take the engine mounts just a little bit loose just to be able to get the actual crankshaft to come down a little bit. And then I just jacked up the engine by the exhaust because I'm just going to replace the exhaust manifolds anyways. And then after I was able to get that down, I just got a small little punch and punched it through a little bit. And it won't take much, but it will come out eventually. And now I just have to get some needle noses on that and pull them out. And whenever you're pulling it out, make sure you go along the crankshaft bearing, I guess, so that you don't bend your seal. So here are those due seals. Make sure whenever you do, if you do get these seals, that they come in with this little tab. This will help you push the seal back into the actual spot where it's supposed to go. So whenever you go to put the new seal in, make sure you have your little tab right here, and it's gonna literally just sit right there so that whenever you're putting your seal in, it doesn't fuck up the seal on this edge right here, because the edge is pretty sharp and can damage your seal. Right now I got the bottom half of the bearing. It's pretty cleaned off right now, but I'm just gonna go ahead and sand it a little bit, the top, so that it stays shiny and has a good mating surface. All right, there we go. Got it all nice and prepped and shiny. And here's my seal. I'm about to put her in. I'm gonna lubricate it up, but always make sure whenever you're putting your seal in, this fat lip, focus, come on. This little fat lip that's on the inside, make sure that goes in the actual inside part. So how I have it facing is correct. There we go. Got the seal on and the bearing on. Make sure you put some lubrication on it beforehand, just so that it doesn't have a dry start and possibly fuck something up. And then also for the top seal, make sure it has lubrication before you put it in. And I'm gonna try to lubricate the inside where the seal goes just a little bit so that it helps slide it in. And then don't forget about your little tab to also put on the back so that it doesn't fuck up the seal. All right, here we are. I had to put that in first and then just kind of push it in a little bit. But it's honestly pretty simple to just push it in there. It doesn't take much pressure. But whenever you do get to the end, I'm gonna get my little punch and I'm just gonna push it in a little bit more and make sure it is obviously even. There we go, got it in. She's looking pretty flush. And all I need to do now is bring the engine back down, take the jack out, torque these down, and then torque these down, and then I'm gonna put on the bearing for it. Here we go. I was able to torque those down. I torqued them in series, right? Yeah, in series. So I torqued them to 45 foot-pounds at first, and then I went ahead and torqued them to 80 foot-pounds. And I think I'm gonna do the same with the oil pump and shit. And yeah, here's the oil pump and rear main cap put on. The bolts for the rear main cap are torqued down to 85 foot-pounds, and they have some thread lock on them. One thing I forgot to mention too is to put a little bit of silicone up in the cap, just so it doesn't leak any. Finally got the brackets and plate installed and the oil pan. All that's left is I gotta fill her up and take you for a little test drive. Well, boys, she's not leaking from the engine anymore, so that's a win in my book. Honestly, doing the job wasn't all too bad. I ended up spending around $250 for the whole thing, and that's just because I didn't have a couple things like a punch. However, I am in the midst of replacing my power steering pump because that was leaking. That one was kind of brand new, so I just went ahead and replaced the pump. And I still have my transmission leak, but I mean that's okay because the leak's just minuscule. It's not really leaking out as much as the engine oil or power steering fluid was. I'm honestly just gonna fix that leak whenever I rebuild my transmission or go to get it rebuilt. Would I recommend doing this by yourself? Absolutely not, for two reasons. One, because I had to keep getting up and down and up and down and up and down, and that was kind of exhausting, and I was literally doing it on the ground. And two, I was very lonely, so make sure you have someone to talk to. So go ahead and do what you will with the information given in this video. This is not necessarily a tutorial, more rather me just showing what the fuck I did. Anyways, see ya.
It's time to stop! It's time to stop, okay? No more! Where the fuck are your parents? Who are your parents? I'm gonna call Child Protective Services. It's time to stop!